Today's show is all about chili and all the wonderful products that were available at H-E-B, such as Bush's beans, H-E-B dried diced tomatoes, sason, Goya, and El Guapo dried chilies. We're going to make a beautiful chili today, and okay folks, how you doing? Today's show is all about chili, something everybody loves. Oh, most people. And if they don't like chili, they don't have to watch this anyway, so it doesn't matter. But someone asked me about making chili. So I said, okay, let me put my thinking cap on, get to my chili recipes, and we'll come out with a nice chili for you today. So, that being said, we're going to start with about 3.5 pounds of chuck, beef chuck. Now, in Texas, they don't consider chili to have beans in it, but I like beans in my chili, so this recipe is definitely going to include beans. So here's a beautiful piece of chuck. It's well marbled throughout, and what we're going to do, we're not doing this with ground beef or anything like that. We're going to start with this nice piece of chuck, and we're going to cut it into nice, thin little, evenly sized cubes, so that they all cook about evenly. And I want to cut these down so that they're about what you would consider a medium dice. Remove any fat that you find, hard gristle or anything like that. But what we want in the end are these beautiful small chunks of beef. That's what's going to make up the base of our chili. So I'm going to cut up the rest of this meat, get it nice and diced into this small dice that I'm looking for, and we'll be right back. Okay, so our meat is all cubed up. I know the question's already coming. Why are you doing this? Why don't you use ground beef? I like this, it's a lot leaner. The ground beef tends to have a lot more oil in it. We're going to add a little oil, but we're going to add some good oil, olive oil. And it just has a better taste when it all turns out in the end. It's not that grainy kind of chili that you've had before. So with that, I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil, just a touch, maybe a tablespoonful, and we're going to mix that up because I want it to coat every piece of the meat, the cubed up meat. There's no other way to do this than with your beautiful, nice, clean hands. Okay, now that the oil has coated all of the meat, I'm going to do something you're not going to see in any chili recipe that you've seen out there. I've got salt, pepper, black pepper, and white flour, plain flour. You can use, if you're on a gluten diet, you could change this. You could use rice flour or whatever you want. But I'm going to take this and we're going to mix it up a little bit and mix it all in with this meat. And what that's going to do, that little tablespoon of flour is going to help thicken our sauce later on down the road when we get into the chili. So, chili is a tomato-based product, so we're going to be mixing in cans of tomatoes here in a bit. But first, we want to put a nice little browning on this meat. That will help and give it a lot of flavor. So behind me, I've got a nice, hot, tall pot that has a heavy bottom. And a heavy bottom so that it will distribute. See all that flour and everything just disappeared in the chili. Let me wash my hands real quick. So this pan is nice and hot. I'm going to throw in just a touch of olive oil, just like that. And then we're going to start putting in the meat. Now, we don't want to put in too much at once, otherwise it will just steam itself. I want it to actually brown. So I'm going to put in like a handful at a time. Oh, that lovely sizzle, that's what we want. So I'm going to brown this meat. And as I brown it, a handful at a time, I'm going to take it out and I'm going to put it in another bowl and set it aside. After I'm all through browning it, I'll pour off the fat, and then we're going to pick it up right there. We'll be right back. Okay, so our meat is browned. I got to show you this. I'm coming around. See all those beautiful brown bits at the bottom of this pan, this pot? You want that. That's very important. That's a lot of flavor in there. So don't burn it. As soon as you're done heating the meat, take it off the flame, move it over until you're ready to do the next step. Next step is I'm going to dice up some onions. I've already crushed about 4 cloves of garlic, and I'm just going to give them a nice little rough chop, just like this. And then a quick little dice. Easiest way to dispatch an onion, cut it in half, cut the little end off, not the end with the root, the other end. Peel your paper back. Just like that, pull the paper off. Give it a quick slice in half this way. Then cut it in as big a dice as you want to cut it. So in this case, I want to dice it like that. And then cut it down. Whatever size you want. There's your diced onions. Nice and easy. No tears here. I'm going to do the other one, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we got our 2 diced onions. We got our 3.5 pounds of meat that's all cubed and browned up, nice and delicious. We've got our pot that's still pretty hot, but I'm going to put it back in the heat. And I'm going to throw in the diced onions, just like this. You can put green peppers in here, you can put all kinds of things. You're going to see what we're going to do. We're going to do our onions. We don't want them to brown, we just want them to sweat a little. So to help them to sweat, I'm going to take a little bit of salt, which will help draw out the moisture. Just like that, just a couple of roundabouts with the salt. After they're going a couple of minutes, we're going to put in the garlic, because garlic tends to burn very quickly. You've got to be very careful. In the meantime, let's talk about chilies. I've got all different kinds of chilies here. These are ones you can buy in the store already pre-dried. This is guajillo chili and arbol chili. This is a jalapeno that I partially smoked. I just dried a little bit out in the backyard. Anybody that knows me knows I've got a whole bunch of chilies that grow out there. I've got one of those dried chili de arbos. This is a fully smoked jalapeno, or a chipotle, that I did in the backyard. And these are some beautiful little bird's eye hot peppers that I grow out. So we're gonna have all different layers of heat going on in this chili. The first thing I want to do is I want to take one of these semi-smoked chilies, and jalapenos, and I want to split it in half because I want the flavor. I don't want the heat. The heat's going to come from the other chilies. And I want to open it up, and I want to take the seeds and the vein that's inside there out, just like that. Cut it out, throw it away. Save these seeds, throw them in the ground, plant them, you got a tree. You got jalapenos. Wow, the smoky smell that's coming off of these freshly smoked jalapenos is amazing. So we're going to put 2 of those inside our chili. So let me dispatch another one. Just like this. I want you to see this, so I'm gonna zoom in here for a second. This is another one of those times that it's more important to see what I'm doing than my beautiful face. So, I've cut the chili in half. I take the end of the knife, go down by the bottom where the vein is, and just trim right up along that vein. See? Out, done. And the seeds are all out. Same thing with the other side. Anytime you want the flavor of a chili, any kind of chili, but you don't want the heat, you'll cut out a lot of the heat. You just do it exactly what I'm doing right now. Take out the seeds and take out the rib. Okay, so now we've got our chili. I'm going to dice this up. Semi-smoked jalapenos. And what I mean by semi-smoked is it still has that bite of a pepper. So you have a feeling where, like this one, is completely charred. I mean, this is crispy. If I break it now, it'll snap. Just like that here, see that snap? And we're going to throw this one in whole. And we're going to throw this one in whole. And we're going to throw these in whole because we just want the flavor of them. We don't want their heat. Okay. Our onions have sweat down a little bit here. I'll be right back. Okay, our onions have sweat down quite a bit here. They're looking a little translucent. Time to throw in the chilies, the garlic, if you're a heat fan, you want to put in habaneros, and all this other stuff, you go right ahead. I'm not a big fan. I like to taste my food. I don't want my palate burnt to singes. So we're going to mix that all together. We're going to throw this whole pod. Some people seep these in water. I find that is a waste of time and energy. I'm going to just throw it right in the pot, just like that. I'm going to throw these 4 chilies in there, right in the pot, just like that. Oh, that smell, wow. That's that chipotle pepper and the semi-chipotle. Now the liquid that's in here is going to deglaze the bottom of this pan. So, in this all goes our meat's going in. In the competition chili world, the adding of those chilies is considered the first dump. That's the first dump of flavor that you're adding to make your chili chili. And we're going to just push this all in here. Wow, this is beautiful. And the smells that are coming out of here already are amazing. And we're going to mix that around a bit. We're going to scrape up those brown bits that were at the bottom of the pan. Because that's where a whole bunch of flavor is. Okay, now now is about the time when we got to add some liquid to start breaking down this meat and turning it from a cheap cut of meat into a delicious chili. So, what are we going to use? The first thing we're going to use is diced tomatoes in their own juice. We're going to put that in, whole can. We need this liquid. This liquid's got to cook down and cook down and cook down and break down all those meat fibers. Here's another can going in. I'm going to stir that around. And mix it around and mix it around. Now, if you don't have enough liquid to cover everything that's in this pot, feel free to grab yourself some water or some, in my case, I'm going to grab some beef stock and put it in, and we're going to up the heat to high. Bloop, 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 bloop. In goes our beef stock. We'll mix everything up. Now everything's covered. The tomatoes, the chilies, everything. The meat, it's all covered. We're going to turn that up to high, and we're going to let that come to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, we're going to cover it and simmer it for about 45 minutes. Actually about 30 minutes. Then we're going to start the introduction or the dumps of our different spice blends. Competition Chili World has found out that if you put in too much spice too soon, it muddles all the flavors, so that if you dump them in planned increments, your flavor of your chili comes out so much better and a lot of depth of flavor. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And we're going to take a break because we've got to wait for this to boil, and we'll be back. I'll see you in a bit. Hey, it's a beautiful day, so I figured I'd take you out and give you a quick little tour of what we got here in the chili world. Look at this. These are beautiful little green chilies. So's this one. See these? Nice little green chilies that are growing right here. Absolutely beautiful. And then we got some, these are the birds chilies, these beautiful reds and oranges. They all grow up the same plant, see? Absolutely beautiful. Look at how vibrant the colors are. And then we've got these bigger red chilies out here. Boy, that one's hot. And then we got our regular green peppers and stuff that we were using for inside. So, just figured I'd let you check it out. Okay, so we're like halfway through with our 45 minutes of this beautiful meat and onions and peppers and chilies and everything going with the tomatoes. And it's bubbling away. And we're going to give it its first dump of some flavor. Now, if you noticed, I haven't put the beans in. I've chosen today to use canned beans because canned beans to me are just as good as taking the dried beans, soaking them yourself, 24 hours, blah, blah, blah. They're just as good. They're a great product. Bush's beans are great. Just use them. I use two different kinds, the Pinto and the dark red kidney beans for a little contrast, a little different texture. Now we're going to start to give our chili its signature flavor. First thing is about 3 tablespoons for this size pot of store-bought chili powder. That's going to give our chili its signature chili color, that dark, deep, rich color. The second thing, this is a mixture of spices. I've got cumin in here. I've got a little nutmeg. I've got cayenne pepper. I have smoked paprika, and also some ground coriander. That's going to go in. And we're going to mix this up. Oh, immediately you get that chili smell, that signature chili smell once you put those seasonings in. And the sauce has turned from a bright red to now like a slightly brownish. And this is just going to start developing and developing. Let me get you in here so you can see what it looks like. Here is our beautiful, beautiful pot oat chili. It's still, you know, on the chunky side. It hasn't developed itself yet. It's still got more time. But look at that, the beautiful base, the color, the smells. You should smell it. It smells amazing. We will be back. I'm going to let this simmer for like another 30 minutes, and then we're going to start the addition of the beans and the other spice dump. Okay, folks, about 20 minutes has gone by since that first seasoning dump that I did in here. So we're going to give this a little taste. See how our oh, it smells amazing. See how our seasoning is coming along. Just get a little bit of the broth. It's coming along beautifully. It's got a brightness. It's got that chili heats. I've got like 3 different places it's hitting with me with the heat of the different chilies. That's good. We're going to let it go just like that. We'll be back in about a half hour. Chili's not an easy, quick thing if you want to make it right. There are quick methods. You can put it in a slow cooker, let go all day. You don't have to watch it. And it comes out beautiful. But this is a more refined chili, almost like a competition chili. So if you want to use ground beef, go ahead and use ground beef. It's so much simpler and quicker. But like I said, this is just a little bit different flair on a regular everyday chili. So we'll be back in about a half hour, 45. Okay, folks, we're on our like last 45 minutes with this beautiful chili we got going on here. It's reduced to about here, and now is the time. Since these are canned beans and they don't have to be cooked, they just really have to be warmed through and let them soak up that beautiful flavor that's going on in there. I'm going to take out half of the liquid that comes in the can of the beans. Some people like to rinse the cans of beans and get this liquid out. I found this liquid is nice and thick and rich and has a lot of flavor, so we're going to use that. So in go the beans. First the red kidney beans. Then we're going to put in our pinto beans. There's our timer. So I was like 30 seconds before I was supposed to put this in. And we're going to dump our last dump of flavor, which is a tablespoon of Mexican oregano, a tablespoon of garlic powder, a tablespoon of onion powder, and a packet of sason Goya. That's going to go in. We're going to mix that up. Like I said, this is a chunky chili. It's a beefy, meaty, beany chili. It's delicious. Don't expect it like a wimpy chili like this happens with ground beef. So this is a totally different animal. So we're going to cover this. I personally, at this point, would let this go another hour, 2 hours. It doesn't matter. It gets better the longer it sits there and cooks. So I'm going to put it on low, extremely low, and I'm going to let it go for at least another hour. This is where I say slow cookers come in great handy. You can take this off the stove, put it in a slow cooker, forget about it. Or you could start it in a slow cooker, do all the beginnings, put it in the slow cooker, leave, go to work, come home, and you got a beautiful bowl of hot chili waiting for you. So we're going to let this cook down and cook and cook, and we'll be back in about an hour. Okay, look at our beautiful chili.
It looks absolutely magnificent. It's thick, it's rich. It's got all that meat. Also, I want you to notice, look, there is virtually no fat on the top of this chili. If this was regular ground beef or anything like that, this would have been loaded with fat and grease. And look at this, it's absolutely beautiful. Here, let me stir it around so you can see. All the nice pieces of intact meat, and the beans and the chilies and everything we put in there. We're gonna let that go for a little bit longer, and then we're gonna eat. Our chili is done. It's time for a little taste. Let me just stir it around a little bit. You would not believe how meaty and juicy this chili is. We're going to get you in to take a look at that. There's our beautiful, delicious chili. You can serve this over rice. You can serve it with diced onions on the top, with cheddar cheese on top. Serve it up with some nice biscuits or some buttered bread, whatever. But this is like stick to your ribs kind of chili. Let's give it a taste. Very hot. The meat is like melting in your mouth. It's absolutely delicious. That broth has, the sauce is just, packed with chilies, packed with chili flavor. You're gonna love it. Give this recipe a try. I hope you learned something. Come back again.